Hey guys, and welcome to the second episode of the H&H Coaching Client Journeys. This is a new series that I'm putting out on my YouTube to talk about individual clients that have shown real perseverance towards their goals, taken on what I've said, and worked so goddamn hard. And the results do show. They have worked so hard. But in this case, my second client I'm going to be speaking to is my client Esme, also known as Ez. So Ez came to me, she was a friend before she became a client, so I've known her for a number of years. She'd worked with a previous coach, had gotten some really amazing results with the previous coach. She took a little step away for a while, wanted to gain a little bit of control back over her food and nutrition. She's a very social person. She does a lot of kind of brunches with the girls and dinners and things, and it's also part of her job as well. It's also a very social job. A lot of networking. She decided to take a step away. And when the time was right, she came to me and she said, right, Han, I need your help here. I want to have a change of scenery. I want to work with you. And these are the things I want to achieve. So main things for Ez were that she wanted to lose some body fat. She'd gained some body fat over the time that she had been away from a coach, and there's nothing wrong with that. She was still really confident in her body, but there were certain aspects that she wanted to improve. So body confidence and education around the gym was something massive for her. She was quite independent in the gym already, but she did find that when going back into this kind of lifestyle, she really lacked confidence and she really needed that extra support and education around exercises. She struggled with quite a bit of lower back pain in certain exercises, and she said, why am I experiencing this? And I said, you shouldn't be. So let's assess your form. And through that, she became more confident because she felt that she knew what she was doing in those exercises. Ultimately, as a coach, yes, it's important that we give feedback and we're constantly teaching our clients how to better perform in our exercises. But ultimately, if the client can't take that information, go away and practice and master it, then clearly there's a communication issue, that you shouldn't need that support continually when it comes to exercises. Some things you'll pick up really quickly and some things that you won't take up so quickly. So for Ez, for example, her RDL form was something that she really struggled with, and it probably took us about 3 months to really ace it. And sometimes she'll say, form's not working this week, don't know what it is, maybe my focus isn't there, and the week after that she'll be like, I absolutely smashed my RDLs and got a PB. So it does differ and it does change. However, for her, the education meant that she felt more confident in the gym, so that was something we really want to prioritize. And generally it was a recomposition of her body, as well as obviously the fat loss, and she really wanted to focus on her lower body growth, so her legs and her glutes. Now, for Ez and her lifestyle, she does have a 9-to-5 desk-based job majority of the time, so she's not very active. She's not on her feet a lot. So we had to bear that in mind when it came to obviously a fat loss phase, because we needed to increase that deficit and keep her as active as possible. Yes, she had a very active social life, so like I said before, she worked in a role where she was networking with people, but also she has a friendship group that are very social as well. So she said, I still want to be able to partake in these scenarios, in these events. I don't want to feel like I'm sitting on the sideline. So I said, fine, okay, let's make this work. Let's make this integrated into your program. And then lastly, she was experiencing quite a bit of kind of digestive upset. Her stomach wasn't in a great place, and as we know, your digestive and your gut health is very, very strongly interlinked with things like your energy, your performance. So we needed to work out what was wrong in her diet and what was causing these digestive problems so that we can move forwards with her fat loss goals. Okay, so what we did, first of all, when we looked at training, so these are the pictures of Ez that we took. I'll move my face slightly. There we go. These are the pictures that we took for Ez literally on her first week. So these are really important. We document pictures from clients from kind of day one up until day whatever, however long they're with me, because you need to be able to see your first composition to the growth and the progress that you have made. Super important. So when it came to her training, she wanted it lower body focused. So we did a 4-day training split, which meant that she could train at the weekends and a couple of times during the week. It's really frustrating me having my face in the centre. I feel like I'm locking eyes with whoever I'm looking at. Sorry, completely sidetracked there. 4-day training split. So we really wanted to focus on the lower body. So we had 2.5 integrated leg days or lower body days, and then 1.5 leg days, upper body days, sorry. So we focused on glutes predominantly, because that was something she really, really wanted to focus on. She knew that through that fat loss phase, she was going to lose some of the shape to her glutes that she already had, due to the fact that that is genuinely where she held a lot of her fat percentage. You'll see in the kind of top image here, she is very, very pear-shaped. She's got very, very large hips, small waist, and she found that she held a lot of weight around her hips, around her stomach, and around her legs, as you can see here. So she knew that she was going to lose some of that through the deficit, and she was fine with that. But she said, Han, I really, really want to focus on growing that area. So that's what we decided to do. The upper body stuff, still super important. We need to make sure that we find balance. And she said, I want to have toned arms. She said, but I don't want to necessarily build loads in my upper body. I just want to feel a little bit more slender and a little bit more toned. So we didn't have as much volume in that area because that suited her. Now, because she did have a desk-based job, I wasn't going to expect her to getting 15k steps a day. So we said between 8 and 10 is ideal, granted that we are doing our cardio, which only started, it was split into actually 3 sessions, but 2 lots of 30 minutes or 3 lots of 20 minutes. It was literally only an hour. And now, even a year or so later, she's only on 3 lots of 30 minutes. Now, when you see the results, you're going to think that is crazy because that is not a lot of cardio. However, the deficit was enough that she was consistently losing weight. And when I go on to nutrition, I'll explain that slightly in more depth. Other points for her was stress management and rest and recovery and stretching as a priority. Now, for Ez, and she won't mind me saying this, her job is quite stressful. She is an independent boss lady in a very male-dominated environment and a male-dominated industry. And my God, she can hold herself, don't get me wrong. However, she didn't necessarily deal with stress very well. And that ended up coming out and we found that actually this directly impacted some of her gut issues, as well as some of the nutritional stuff that she was consuming. So we spoke about stress levels. Was she taking any time for herself? Was she, whether it was reading a book or taking a bath, or when she goes for a walk, just to whatever made her feel more relaxed, whether that was put some relaxing music on or put on a funny podcast or just listen to the surroundings. And she said to me, Han, no, I don't take any time for myself. I'm so into work, particularly at busy periods when she was starting at 8 and finishing at 7 or 8 o'clock in the evening. She was taking no time for herself. She was then rushing to the gym, rushing through a session, not focusing on the way she was training, maybe doing 15 minutes of cardio, if that, and then going home before having to rush meal prep some stuff, maybe not measure anything, and get to bed before having to get up early the next morning. And I said, right, okay, so we need to find balance here, because right now you're not managing your stress and it's having a negative impact on, 1, how you're feeling, and 2, obviously your training and nutrition and your goals. So we had to make a little bit of a switch. She hasn't changed anything within her role. She is an absolute boss at her job. However, what we have found is that middle of the day, so during her lunch break, she would have probably her second meal, because she trained in the evenings. She'd have her second meal, and then she would, in her hour lunch break, go out for just a 20-minute walk. And she wouldn't take her phone. She'd leave it. She'd just walk and listen to what's going on. She said that made her feel so much better before going back into the second lot of work, because she felt like she had that brain space rather than eating her lunch at her desk and trying to get through a few extra emails because priority of time. No, she needed that time break in between the middle of the day. 1, that got in a considerable more amount of her steps, and she was more likely then to hit her 10k goal. And additionally, it gave her that brain space. And she said it was one of the best things she could have added into her program, just to help that little bit. And she found then when she went into the second half of her working day, it made things so much easier. Additionally to that, she has 1 day working from home. So on a Friday, she works from home. And that, again, she's in her own space. She's in a more relaxed environment rather than being in an office. And she found that actually on that hour lunch break, she was then able to also go for a walk, but go for a walk around her surroundings, not necessarily at work. So those kind of small things can really help with stress management. And she found that meant that she was actually more productive in the second portion of her working day, which meant that she actually got more done in the same space of time and ended up leaving on time majority of the time, and then having everything packed, so her pre-meal packed, and then she would go straight to the gym. She would do her session and her cardio, and or potentially sometimes do cardio in the morning. So sometimes she'll go to the gym in the morning, do her cardio, shower, change, go to work, do her first half, have her second meal and go for a walk, do her very productive second session of the day with her work, come back to the gym, train, and then maybe do some steps on the treadmill before then going home and having plenty of time to meal prep and de-stress. She's also a very, very keen reader, and has also got me into a number of books as well. So that really helped with her stress management because she was able to just clock off from her brain massively. So if you are finding in your daily routine that you're not giving yourself time for yourself, you need to look at your stress management techniques, because stress ultimately is exactly the same bodily response as when, like, years and years and years ago with our ancestors. I mean, take this with a pinch of salt, but ultimately it was fight or flight. That's how your body reacts to stress. It's either, right, I'm going to deal with this, or I'm going to run away. That is your natural bodily response from our ancestors, how our bodies work when it comes to stress management. However, modern day stress is very, very, very different to stress all the way back then. Usually it was a case of not being eaten by a predator, whereas now it's your boss telling you, right, I need these emails sent out, this paper written, go get me coffee, whatever it might be. And excuse me, that stress is still the same. It's the same process. How body reacts to it. It just might feel a bit different because you're not scared. Stress is stress. Your body reacts exactly the same way. So if you are finding your stress levels are high, you've constantly got a high heart rate, we need to drop that, because that at a general constant level is not healthy and it's not good for you mentally or physically. Okay, so moving on to nutrition now. So as I said before, Ez had a lot of issues when it came to her gut health. She experienced a lot of bloating, and she wasn't comfortable in her body. So I said, right, in that case then, are we drinking cow's milk with our coffee? Are we having lactose-free cheese if she was having like pasta or something? Is there dairy products in your diet? And she said, yeah, there is. I said, okay, let's start with that first. Let's take that out. Considerable improvement. I would say predominantly then the only time that she found she was getting a lot of bloating was, one, around the menstrual phase of her cycle, and two, when she was uber stressed. But she was struggling when we got to a certain point, and I can't remember off the top of my head what weight we were sitting at. It was about halfway through her journey where her weight just went completely stagnant. And I was like, this doesn't really align with me. We're having a lot of reproductive pain. Bless her, her periods were quite catastrophic. And she was currently on the contraceptive pill. She came off of that. She was considering it anyway. She came and spoke to me and said, do you think this is a good idea? And I said, yes, absolutely. She came off the contraceptive pill. That benefited. At the same time, we also said, right, let's pull gluten. See what happens. See it as an experiment. And she was like, yeah, cool. Like, I'm down for anything that can get rid of the pain. And that, and the dairy included as well as coming off the pill, was like a real penny drop moment. I think she dropped about 1.5 kilos in 2 days. It just went off of her. And that was purely inflammation. So she was still losing fat during that period, but her body was holding on to so much water weight because of the food she was eating and because of the fact she was on the contraceptive pill. Now, I'm not suggesting everyone needs to come off dairy and everyone needs to come off gluten and all women shouldn't be on a contraceptive pill. I'm not saying that at all. However, this is what worked for Ez. After that happened, it was plain sailing, and it has been ever since. And we're still working through a dietary phase at the moment. We're going to be running this until the end of April, and then we're going to go into a growth phase, which she's super excited about. And at the end of April, end of her diet phase, we're actually doing a photo shoot. So she is like more zoned in than ever at the moment, and it's awesome to see, especially with the new year. So, like I said, we removed dairy, removed gluten. She came off the contraceptive pill. We incrementally remove carbohydrates, but keeping her on a high protein and pro fats. So things like avocado, dark chocolate, like 90% dark chocolate, peanut butter, keeping those fats, I wouldn't say high, but we didn't necessarily take any away because we found that it wasn't necessary. Like her body weight was moving exactly the way we wanted to. And then we really, really focused on hydration. So she was having electrolytes in the AM with her cardio. Whether she was doing cardio in the morning or not, she always has like 1.5 litres, like a big bottle like this, in the morning, and that was then 1.5 litres done. And then we were looking at a minimum of 4 litres of water was the goal, and that has really, really worked for her, because she also said to me something completely unrelated to fitness. She said my skin, it's cleared up so much, like all of her acne had gone. She just looks so much more glowing in the face. So that's another thing, is one, hydration is super, super important just generally for your health and for your fitness, but also for things like skin health. You'll also find that you don't get as dry skin on your hands during the winter. You'll find that you won't kind of get dark patches or other things on your skin. So as much as people don't know about me, I'm also a qualified beauty therapist, and that's what I was doing prior to coming into coaching. So a little bit of knowledge for you there. Make sure you're hydrated. Yeah, there are multiple benefits of being hydrated, but also the reason that she was taking electrolytes, and if you don't know what electrolytes are, it's a product you can buy. It's basically a formulation of salts, okay? You can get them all different kinds of companies. But electrolytes are super important to have in the AM because they help you to utilise the water you drink and actually let your body process it. A lot of the time, people will drink water and their electrolyte balance is completely out, and your body ends up not actually utilising the water you drink and actually rehydrating. It will just basically pass through you. So if you find that you end up going, right, I don't know, I drink 2 litres of water a day, I'm going to aim for 4. 1, don't go straight to 4 litres because your body will not like it. Do it incrementally. So try for 2.5 for a couple of weeks, then try for 3 and work your way up. But if your salt balance is out, your body is not going to absorb the water that you drink. It's going to go straight out of you, and you're going to find you're going to the loo a lot. Okay, so take some electrolytes as a supplement in the morning. To be fair, it makes your water taste nicer anyway, in my opinion. So much better. But also putting salts in your foods. Also recommend pink Himalayan salt, which is what I give all of my girls, just because it doesn't come from the sea, so it's much less full of kind of pollutants and things, because obviously it comes from the Himalayas, which is a rock salt, it's not a water-based salt. But it's important that we are salting our foods. I'm not suggesting for a lifestyle client that they need to be measuring out their salts, but you will find that if you were to have, like, I don't know, a takeaway, for example, there will be a humongous amount of salt in that you won't even taste. So when you do measure out your salts, or whether you, excuse me, my light bulb going there, if you are, like I said, measuring out your salt or putting salt on your food, it will taste a lot more salty than it will if you had like an Indian takeaway. But what happens is, if you're not regulating your salt amount, this kind of happens. And then you'll find that you'll be really dehydrated because you haven't drunk enough water, but you've had too much salt. And then another day you won't have enough salt, but you'll have too much water. So you'll have too much water and you'll go to the loo loads. So it ends up like a ping pong effect. So rehydration is super, super important. I've gone on a complete tangent there about hydration. However, it worked for us. So anyway, these are the first pictures that we saw. Excuse me, my mouse has gone to sleep. Now, the results. I mean, incredible. This is just from May to December of this year. She has been with me longer than that. We started back, I think, in start of April, I think. So these aren't even the first pictures. On the next slide are the first pictures that we took together. Yeah, she's dropped 10 kilos. So it will be a year this April coming. So she's been with 8 months and she's lost 10 kilos. She's dropped a dress size. She has had to buy new gym leggings, which is an expense in itself because we're both massive Honor Active lovers. Literally got an Honor Active top on right now. And they are expensive, but she's had to buy new ones because obviously they've all stretched with her as she got larger, and as she's got smaller, they now don't stay up, so she will have to buy some more. She has got complete independence in the gym. Like, I do not have to worry about her. She sends me training videos, we go through them, and yes, I will make tweaks and things and give her advice on certain things and say, right, this needs to be heavier, or you need to move your body like this, but she's completely independent in the gym, and she has completely and utterly changed her mindset around exercise, and she prioritizes it now, which is super important. And the main thing with her as well, I think, is that I put on here gut issues solved. They're never completely solved, but considering how much discomfort she was in 8 months ago, complete transformation. You can ask her. Her gut health is absolutely so much better, and she gets next to no bloating unless she is menstruating. I mean, most women, when they are menstruating, will experience some bloating, but generally day to day, very, very minimal bloating. So yeah, big hats off to Ez, and I can't wait to see what she's like in April, ready for the photo shoot. Absolutely insane. But you can see from the photos from A to B, the progress she's made is nuts. So yeah, I'm very, very proud of her. These were some of the images recently. So the image on the left of each image was the first official picture that she took, and these were the ones from, I think, last week or the week before. So yeah, she looks absolutely insane. She's done such an amazing job. So if you want results like Esme, and like previous clients I've shown in these videos, then all you've got to do is pop me a message. Even if you just want some advice, free advice, like I'm not a gatekeeper. If you just want some help, but you're not quite ready to move on with a coach, just pop me a message. I'm more than happy to help. That is my job. That's why I do what I do. Ultimately, everyone has to have a job. Everyone has to make money. But I don't do what I do to make money. I do what I do because I want to help people, and particularly women. For someone myself that has grown up in the fitness industry, but has also had my own struggles with weight, from being much larger to being also quite small, it's really important to have someone there that understands you and is there to support you. And that, I think, is the ultimate reason for having a coach, is just to have that support and have that knowledge behind you. And once a client is able to utilize the knowledge that I have and just trust me and trust the process, this is the outcome, because Ez has 100% put all of her faith in me and trust. And I know that we were friends before, and she already trusted me, so she knew that she could come to me for that help. But ultimately, she is the one that's done the job. She is the one that's done all the hard work, all of the AM cardios, all of the sessions, all the meal prep. I've done none of that. She is the one that's done all of that, and I couldn't be prouder of her. She's done absolutely amazing. So big round of applause for Ez. Very good done. I'm sure you're watching this going, oh no, it's so embarrassing. You've done it. That you're the one that's done the work. So really, really well done. So yes, I'm going to put a video now in a second of Esme talking a little bit about the work that we have done together. So please enjoy that. But if you need any help whatsoever, I will have my socials linked below, and my inquiry form as well. If you would like to inquire for coaching, I do have spaces currently. Moving into the new year, this is your time to really make the change, make the decision to go, right, enough is enough. Let's do this. And I'm going to be here when you're ready to do that, ladies. So just let me know. But enjoy this little message from Ez. And yes, I will look forward to speaking to you all soon.
So I started with Hannah back in around April. I wasn't sort of happy with where I was at with my physique. It was affecting just my confidence. We first went into more of a maintenance phase for her to just sort of gauge where my body was at, and sort of where I was at in the gym, my sort of levels, where we could sort of push it to. Slowly from there we entered into sort of a dieting cut phase, and from that I think I've lost around 10 kilos now. I feel so much better about myself. I think the physical change is absolutely incredible when you look at the photos, but when you actually sort of see like where I'm at mentally as well, that change is just, it's a whole 180 on where I'm at. I feel like a completely new person, and I have Hannah to thank really for bringing me there and helping to support me. We're still sort of in that cutting phase right now. We're trying to get down a little bit lower. I feel like I can push myself to get there, and I know Hannah thinks I can as well. Once we head into the new year, we are going to be starting some photo shoot prep, which I'm very excited for. I think the goal is to be there for April, so that will be a year with Hannah, and I think it will be really incredible to sort of see where I started with her in April 24 and where we end up in April 25, and I can only imagine how incredible it's going to look.